a $50,000 reward to help solve the murder of 47-year-old Anaya Parker, a transgendered woman.
The transgender community is one of the most marginalized and discriminated against communities in all of society. Anaya was a constituent. Anaya was our neighbor, has a family that loves and cares for her. This is why I'm working with the LAPD to bring the person or persons responsible for her death to justice. But we absolutely need your help.
The shooting occurred in the early morning hours on October 2nd at Melrose and Kenmore near the 101 freeway. Police say Parker was shot during what is likely to have been a botched robbery. She later died from her injuries at a hospital.
Given that gender identity and sexual orientation all too often play a role in escalating the violence against the LGBT community, we believe it is very possible that Ms. Parker was targeted as a transgender woman because of her identity.
While the Los Angeles Police Department has not categorized Parker's murder as a hate crime, the LGBT community says discrimination and even violence are a real part of the life of a transgendered individual.
This has become a too frequent occurrence here in the streets of Los Angeles and Hollywood of the transgender community. I feel that transgenders have become targets of hate crimes and easy prey for criminals. My hope is that in addition to the reward, the Los Angeles City and LAPD step up street patrols to discourage criminals.
I know that there's nothing that could bring him back, but to me, he was my brother, and we cared and loved for him. And I don't understand how you young people could do such a mean and a cruel thing.
Asking for the suspects to turn themselves in, Sister Adrienne Parker says they just want to know why, even if knowing why won't bring back their loved one. Anaya Parker's shooting was actually caught by a surveillance camera. The dark and grainy video shows Parker in an altercation with what looks to be three men, likely to be in their 20s, before one of them fired a shot. If you know anything that could help solve this case, contact LAPD homicide detectives at 213-484-3623. It's something many don't talk about, and it's on the rise in Los Angeles. But city leaders shone the spotlight on domestic violence as they kicked off the I Can, We Can pledge and day of action. Anna Marcos has more.
Can artwork on a hand and a pledge stop domestic violence? Members of the city's Domestic Violence Task Force believe it's a start. They kicked off National Domestic Violence Awareness Month by asking people to take the I Can, We Can pledge. They believe domestic violence is everyone's problem.
If you go to death row, most of the people who are there who have committed horrible crimes in themselves are due to be executed came from abusive backgrounds, that this cycle of violence has to stop.
When we all take a moment to really reflect on what we can do to help end domestic violence, that's when society's going to change.
I pledge our office will assure that domestic violence perpetrators do not have weapons.
Here at this table, you can take a pledge with one of these little I Can, We Can hands by making either a bracelet or a necklace, or you can take a pledge by writing on your own hand.
No I Can is too small to make a difference or too big to be possible.
Kathy Salser created the I Can, We Can project as a way to heal victims of domestic violence through art.
I grew up with domestic violence, and in the face of that fear, art was my safety. Art was my voice.
Many city leaders have each taken their own pledge to bring awareness to a problem that is on the rise.
We have seen an overall decline in crime for the last 11 years. Domestic violence, particularly spousal abuse, is up 18%.
Last year alone, we served over 1,600 individuals that were abused and felt the need to leave their setting.
City leaders hope when everyone starts speaking out, it makes a difference.
It means letting every victim, every family, and every child know that they are not alone, that the violence perpetrated against them is not their fault, and that there is help and support available.
I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
For kids, there can also be a lot to deal with outside of the home, at school, where they may be teased, pushed, or even worse. So aside from schoolwork, many students these days are also learning how to take a stand against bullying. Yana Kay reports.
These students at ICEF Vista Academy are standing together and making a pledge to stop bullying.
I will be a leader by maybe telling other students to try to help prevent and also not to bully others.
And that was the message city officials and community groups were trying to get across as part of October's National Bullying Prevention Month.
The only way that we can prevent bullying is to take a firm stance and to be friends and to provide respect, compassion, and understanding.
Nearly 500 students, local police officers, and community groups gathered for a morning assembly to raise awareness and inspire a call to action against bullying.
According to statistics, 90% of 3rd to 5th graders say they feel sorry when they see a kid being bullied, but many times they just don't know how to stop it.
But officials say it's events like these that give kids the tools and the support they need to handle and prevent bullying.
We're kind of teaching kids to go with your gut. If you think something's wrong, let an adult know.
It makes me feel safe and that I am capable of standing up to others.
A message that appears to be getting through loud and clear. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
Bullying Prevention Month began in 2006 with a one-week event and has evolved into a month-long campaign. Whimsical new bike racks blossom in one community. The city declares one day in October Latin America Day and learning about energy efficiency and job opportunities at the LADWP. These stories in City Beat. The makeover in Boyle Heights continues with the installation of yet another one of 36 new decorative bike racks shaped like flowers or butterflies. The beautification project is part of Councilmember Jose Huizar's $12 million First Street Arts and Civic Streetscape plan. 12 benches on First Street from Boyle to Soto were also installed as part of the project. Councilman Huizar's office says the street furniture creates an inviting atmosphere for cyclists, pedestrians, and motorists who live in or who are visiting the community. The Bureau of Street Services, Metro, local artists, and other community-based groups partnered on the project. City leaders recently declared the first Saturday of the month of October of every year Dia de Latino America, or Latin America Day, in the city of Los Angeles. Present for the special presentation were the consul generals to Los Angeles from the Dominican Republic, Argentina, Bolivia, Ecuador, to name just a few.
It is a community that plays such a critical role. Half our population of the city is of some Latino descent. It is the fastest growing group in the United States, the largest market for exchange between our country and their countries in many instances.
The recognition of Dia de Latino America is part of the city's celebration of Latino Heritage Month. Councilman Joe Buscaino joined the LA Department of Water and Power recently to host an energy efficiency event at the Macedonia Baptist Church in Watts. In this time of record heat and drought, the Green the Block event brought home energy efficiency and water savings information to residents.
We're finding ways to reduce energy bills, but also finding ways to create jobs within the LADWP. And it's a great marriage between the two, finding cost savings and also putting people to work here in Watts.
The councilman was referring to an energy job training program that recruits and trains the next generation of skilled workers for careers at the LADWP. We recently reported on the downtown mural painted by German artist Thierry Noir, known for painting on the Berlin Wall. Now another piece of German history comes alive in Los Angeles as a new art installation is unveiled. Yana Kay has more.
Traveling all the way from Germany for the 25th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, this guardhouse now stands in its original form as the latest art installation at the Wendy Museum.
The house is a symbol of investigation and control people in East Berlin.
City officials, artists, and community members unveiled the new art project during a ceremony at the Berlin Wall exhibit located at 5900 Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles.
What you've done is create a field, which this wall is, to nourish people through the art.
Artist Christopher Zwiener saved the historic guardhouse from being destroyed. It was the very last one left after the fall of the Berlin Wall. These mass-produced aluminum shacks used to monitor where people were going on the streets of East Germany. And now this piece of German history lives on in L.A.
It's the one place outside of Germany where old Germany is still alive.
Inside the guardhouse is another piece of artwork called Key Delivery. It's made up of 2,000 keys that came from the barracks of the People's Police in East Germany. They represent loss of power and control following the demise of the political system.
For me, it's a symbol of all the keys tell certain stories. Each one opened a room and also belonged to a person for a certain time.
Stories that continue to unfold one key at a time. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
The installation will be on display at the Wilshire location until the end of October. In this week's list of things to do, a classic English murder mystery, a Saturday community cleanup event, and a Halloween party for kids in need. Feel like ringing in the holidays early with the hilarious seasonal twist on the classic English murder mystery? Well, Villa Thrilla might just be the play for you. You can catch it on Saturday, October 25th from 8 to 10 p.m. at the Atwater Village Theater, located at 3269 Casitas Avenue in Atwater Village. The plot goes something like this. A former mob boss invites a gangster couple to a holiday party at the once magnificent Thrilla mansion, but how will they recognize the mob boss Mickey, who has been in witness protection and has undergone plastic surgery? And wait, the dreidel song plays and the first body falls. A cop comes knocking at the door. For reservations and information, go to villathrilla.com. What started out as an activity of 15 Cub Scouts in 2011 has turned into an annual event of over 125 volunteers. On Saturday, October 25th, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., join other like-minded community members at Stony Point at the north end of Topanga Canyon Boulevard in Chatsworth. Volunteers will be asked to make the trails more user-friendly by removing debris and rubbish from the park. The cleanup event will then be followed by a social event, compliments of the Chatsworth Neighborhood Council, with food and fun for everyone. For more information, contact Les Saleh at scoutingus@aol.com. And if you want to give back to the community by making this Halloween special for some underprivileged kids, the 5th annual Big Sunday Spooky Sunday event needs your help. The Spooky Sunday event takes place on Sunday, October 26th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Big Sunday headquarters at 6111 Melrose Avenue. The family-friendly Halloween haunted house and party will be attended by a large group of underserved kids and their families. Activities include a costume giveaway, trunk or treating, arts and crafts, pumpkin carving, and of course lots of sweet treats. If you're interested in volunteering or if you have an organization with kids who would like to attend, go to bigsunday.org for information. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. The first LAPD SWAT officer killed in the line of duty continues to make an impact through a charity set up in his memory. Gil Reyes reports from the Randall Simmons Run, Bike, and CrossFit Challenge.
And they're off for a 5K run to raise money for underprivileged children. It's what Officer Randy Simmons would have wanted, according to his widow.
Oh, it means so much to me because Randy's passion was to help kids, and especially at-risk kids in underserved areas. And so the LAPD today is sponsoring this big fundraiser to help support us, to help fund our foundation so that we can continue Randy's legacy of love.
The annual Randy Simmons Run, Bike, and CrossFit Challenge got off to a healthy start at Elysian Park Recreation Center. Simmons died in 2008. The first LAPD SWAT officer killed in the line of duty. But his legacy of youth mentoring continues through the Randy Simmons Foundation. Over the years, it's raised money for youth scholarships, low-income housing assistance, children's camping adventures, toy drives, trips to amusement parks, and more.
And they're doing amazing work in the community, so this is a great run that people come out. They get sponsorships. It helps fund that work of the foundation and to really embody what LAPD is all about, what Randy was about.
Through the spirit of giving, the spirit of Randall Simmons lives on. In Elysian Park, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
That was the 7th annual event. The widow of Randall Simmons has also written a book about his life. Proceeds benefit at-risk children. A movie is also in the works. Find out more at RandySimmonsSWAT.com. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. That's LATW35. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today.
Don't worry, Patty. This isn't going to hurt me one bit. Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Shapiro in beautiful Encino, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel. Open wide.
Good morning, sergeants. Please call. The members have their We can begin today's business. I want to thank Mr. Englander, Ms. Martinez, and O'Farrell for being members of today's on-time caucus. Sergeants, please call the other members and let me know when their ETAs are. Thank Mr. Bonin, Cedillo, Englander, Martinez. Good morning. Good morning. It is Friday, October 24th. I want to welcome you to your Los Angeles City Council. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., and the public are welcome. At this point, however, we do not have a quorum, but we're going to begin today's program by deferring to Mr. Englander. Would you start our presentation portion? Mr. Englander, the floor is yours.
What's up, brother? I mentioned Hawaii, but I saw you on social media that you were at I went off script a little there, but...
Thank you so much.
Mr. President, colleagues, today is Emergency Management Department House Worship Day. And let me tell you what that means. This is remarkable. Today, I am so proud and honored to join the Emergency Management Department to honor our faith-based organizations throughout the city of Los Angeles who've committed to getting their congregations prepared. These 18 extraordinary organizations have engaged their communities and collaborated to educate and prepare our communities for the worst. Our faith-based organizations are the backbone of our communities. They serve and protect our communities in need, and they will be the first in the line of defense in the event of a disaster. In fact, they already have been. These organizations have taken the initiative and have stepped up to the task of preparing our local communities. As a group, these faith-based organizations have accomplished some amazing things. They've distributed thousands of pamphlets and disaster preparedness kits. They've hosted numerous preparedness fairs. They've organized monthly meetings on emergency preparedness. They host CERT training and teen CERT programs. They've partnered with the county health department to learn how to use mobile kitchens for mass feedings during a disaster. They set up communications networks and trained for radio coordination in the event of a disaster. And several of them serve as American Red Cross shelters. I'd like to recognize a few of our citywide organizations that actually are here with us today. Crenshaw Christian Center.
Yay!
Yay!
I know that.
Yes. Adat Ariel Synagogue. Council, yes, let's give them a round of applause. Absolutely. The Council on Pakistani American Affairs. The Jewish Federation of Greater Los Angeles. The West Angeles Church. Sycamore Park Foursquare Church. Khalsa Peace Corps. The Buddhist Zhu Chi Foundation. PAC Red TRN. The Brookings Community AME Church. Our Baptist Ministers Conference. The USC Center for Religious and Civic Engagement. Oh, I got the mayor calling me. Hold on a sec. Hey, Mayor, this is Mayor Eric Garcetti. You're on a speakerphone as I'm giving a presentation right now to congratulate our faith-based organizations. So would you like to say something, Mayor?
Absolutely. We could not do it without the faith-based organizations of this town. Thank you guys for everything you do to make every day a living, breathing testament to what we are capable. And I am so excited to bring in volunteerism and lift it up in this town. We're actually launching this weekend our Mayor's Volunteer Corps to go throughout the city and do all the great work that so many of our faith-based institutions already do. So congratulations. You got a good guy there with Mitch. Thanks for honoring them, and God bless you all for what you do.
All right, let's give the mayor a round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You know, Mitch, where did you get your little Dick Tracy?
Tom wants one of those. Mr. President, you don't want to know where the faxes come in.
That was Dion's line, by the way.
That's right. That was great timing. So let's give the mayor another round of applause. Our Second Baptist Church, the Korean Churches for the Community Development, our Community Emergency Preparedness Action Center, churches in Los Angeles and throughout Los Angeles. I want to tell you about something else we've done together. And if you all have a smartphone and you open up a web browser and you go to lapdfred.org on your smartphone on a web browser. LAPD Fred is the Los Angeles Police Department faith-based resource directory that we launched in Council District 12 as a pilot program to bring the faith-based organizations that they're doing and what we're talking about here today together on a mobile application to give our first responders as well as the community an opportunity to find those types of resources in their own community. We're taking this citywide. You can go on 24 hours and you can find the local food shelters, the homeless shelters, the women's shelters, reunification centers, your senior lead officers, job training, all types of resources that live and breathe and exist because of our faith-based organizations that do far beyond what, quite frankly, any other organization here in Los Angeles does. They come together not only in faith, they come together in times of disaster, they come together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year as volunteers, as leaders, civically, and engaging and partnering with our Los Angeles Police Department and Fire Department and Emergency Preparedness Department to help those who can't help themselves, to help those in times of trouble. And I want to single out two churches in my district. Shepherd of the Hills. Mike is here today from Shepherd of the Hills. Give him a round of applause. Shepherd of the Hills, by the way, which became the disaster center for folks with the Red Cross during our last fires. That became the homeless shelter. That became the shelter for people to come and get food. That became the shelter where, in fact, insurance companies came on site so you can file your applications while you're there with your loved ones and with your community to ensure the processing was done immediately and that you would have resources to rebuild, to relocate, to temporarily shelter, and they do so much. As well as Calvary Chapel of West Hills. Armando, where are you at? There you are, right behind me. Oh, yeah, but you're here representing as well, right? Oh. Okay, well, he is now. We've just recruited him. He's everywhere anyway, so we might as well have you there, too. And it is my honor to introduce somebody who is no stranger to any of us, who has led us in the city of Los Angeles to be the most prepared large city in the country, if not the world, where we think outside the box, where we collectively calibrate with our faith-based organizations and do so much more. Our general manager, Jim Featherstone, if you can please share some words with us as well.
Thank you, Councilman. Good morning. It's always an honor and a privilege to be able to speak before this group. I'm pleased today to have, EMD is pleased to have the City Council recognize several of our faith sector groups that have partnered with the City of Los Angeles Emergency Management Department and honor them for their contribution to the emergency management effort here in the city. Houses of worship are lighthouses in our neighborhoods. During times of disaster and despair, houses of worship become a beacon of hope and light in their communities. They're a natural point of congregation. People will instinctively gather at these lighthouses because they offer security and safety. We know these groups already conduct community programs. They're dedicated to the sustainment of people. We don't change what they currently do, but rather the city has partnered with them and supported their efforts in response and recovery to a disaster and emphasize the programs they already have in place. The faith communities are a force multiplier for the city. They can ameliorate the dire situations that occur in disasters. This interaction between government and the faith-based sector is paramount to addressing the resiliency of our city in times of crisis. These are the trusted people. These are the trusted voices we need to hear. Communities are apt to engage and respond to these people, which they've built trust with over the years. These trusted voices are especially valuable to our immigrant population, that they may be adverse because they are disproportionately affected during times of crisis. The emergency management is proud to call these faith groups partners, and we look forward to expanding our efforts amongst the faith-based community here in Los Angeles. Thank you for honoring them this morning.
Thank you so much. This is a great place where church and state come together. With that, I'd like to introduce Richard Flory from the USC Center for Religion and Civic Culture, here to speak on behalf of the group. Thank you so much.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here. First, I'm assuming that as an academic, I have better success with assigned reading the report that's been sent out to you than in some of my classes I've had. But my name is Dr. Richard Flory. I'm the Director of Research at the USC Center for Religion and Civic Culture. The center was founded in the aftermath of the 1992 civil unrest, initially to understand the emergence of various faith coalitions and networks working at that time to, quote, heal the city. The center now works to create, translate, and disseminate scholarship on the civic role of religion both in Los Angeles and globally, and also as a facilitator, trainer, and convener of religious groups seeking to work in the public sphere. On behalf of each of the groups here today, thank you for the recognition of the important work that they are all doing. I'd like to take the next couple of minutes just to make a couple comments about their work. First of all, it's important to note that groups like those represented here today represent the over 4,000 congregations in the city of Los Angeles, which represents about 43% of all religious congregations in LA County, and that does not count the religious nonprofits. Contrary to how most people think about religion in global cities, religion is of all sorts, is a vibrant and fundamental component of urban life, including in the great city of Los Angeles. Religious groups, as you've heard, serve many roles in the public sphere, not only providing spiritual support, but also providing services such as feeding, clothing, counseling, education, communication. They are providers of meeting space and in general are the first to know what's happening in their communities. In the event of a disaster, these are key competencies and capacities that can be leveraged not only for members of particular congregations, but more generally in the communities in which they're located. Primarily through Joanne Troncali's involvement and leadership, the City Emergency Management Department is taking the lead in convening the Faith Roundtable, which meets quarterly to increase preparedness and regularly convenes faith sector leaders. These efforts have integrated faith communities into their plans and exercises within their Business Operations Center. The partners in this work are the faith communities themselves, as represented here, the Red Cross, the USC Center for Religion and Civic Culture, the LA Emergency Preparedness Foundation, and the DHS Center for Faith-Based and Community Partnerships. This is groundbreaking work both locally and nationally, and as one of my colleagues at USC says, LA is America only sooner, and so this is a great model for the country to follow. Often, however, and I would not be doing my job as an academic if I didn't point out some problems. Often, however, different and sometimes competing government and bureaucratic requirements stifle the efforts of the faith community to work in the public sphere. Two brief examples. In one instance, a local church of about 250 to 300 people intended to upgrade their kitchen to better serve their own ongoing feeding program, and then they could upgrade and feed a much larger group in the event of a disaster. And what was quoted by their contractor as a $100,000 project turned into a $1 million project once the codes and requirements were taken into account. The kitchen was never upgraded. In another instance, changing building codes, again for a kitchen upgrade, required a newly installed floor to be torn out and rebuilt in order to meet the changed code requirements. Now, we all understand the need for building codes and requirements. However, there's a pressing need for the city and the county to work together to lower the burden for all groups, to enable them to provide services today so that those can be extended during times of a disaster, particularly things like mass feeding and shelter. In the end, we all know it's not if a disaster happens in LA, it's when. If we can agree that key community institutions like churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, gurdwaras, and the like can effectively be included in city and county efforts to prepare for disasters and help facilitate recovery, Los Angeles will be taking a large step toward being the resilient city it seeks to be. Thank you.
I like that. LA is America, only sooner. I like that. I think we've got to put that on our building. That's fantastic. Let me just say thank you all, not for coming out today, not for stepping up to be recognized, not for showing your appreciation for our gratitude, but for what you do each and every day to change lives, to make a difference, to help those who can't help themselves, to instill faith and spirit, and help one another. We call our first responders here our heroes. You are our true superheroes. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Yes.
1 second, Mr. Laban.
I just wanted to stand to thank Jim Featherstone. Great to see you. Sometimes the quarterback goes from one team to another, but you always score, just like Peyton Manning. Okay? Thank you. And to all the faith-based, I make a speech and I say I love the United States, I love our Constitution, and the Fourth Amendment's so important, separation of church and state, but not church and community, mosque and community, temple and community. And this is what it's all about. And it seems if you do, as I took a picture, Betsy, where's your camera? If I took a picture, it seems like all these faith-based people are taller because they are going somewhere special later. But it is that. Isn't that true? Isn't that
They're
true?
taller because they're standing next to me.
Well, that's right, Mitch. Okay. That was a recording. I know you, Mitch. You're Dick Tracy #2. But it's going to come. The earthquake's going to come. And it's our communities that are really going to be the centers, as they were in the past, as they will in the future. This more formalized report is going to help all of us in many, many ways, because we can't do it all. And it's the neighborhoods. And it's the faith-based organizations in the neighborhoods that will make a difference. Great job, Mitch Englander. You're Mr. Earthquake now and forever. And thank you all for what you're doing, Mr. Wesson.
Thank you, Mr. Laban.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, and we do appreciate everything that you do. God bless you all. Follow Mr. Englander. What did Laban's call you? Follow Mr. Earthquake. And Mr. Price, as they exit, or when they exit the chambers, I'd like to defer to you for a very important introduction.
Hey, Chief.
It's one of my crimes. Good to see you again. Oh, wow. If I saw you back there, I'd say there's an angel on there.
Mr. Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I'd like to take a moment to introduce a new friend, Dr. John Shiyang Shi, who's here on a trade mission from China to investigate potential partnerships in the city of L.A. Dr. Shi is a prominent Chinese entrepreneur, financer, and one of China's most notable investors in the film and entertainment industry. Dr. Shi is the founder and chairman of Kuilu Investments, a Fortune 50, private enterprise based in Shanghai, which holds interests in film production, international trade, and internet finance platforms. We look forward to future collaboration between Kuilu Investment Group and its investments and joint venture-related endeavors here in the city of Los Angeles, including potential development of Chinese and Hollywood films in our city. Let's welcome Dr. Shi to our city, members.
Thank you, Mr. Price. We do have, Mr. O'Farrell, I'll be calling on you next, but I'm going to run through the agenda. Mr. Clerk, we do have a quorum. If you could call the roll, please.
Blumenfield, Bono, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Huizar, Carrasco, Correa, Labaz, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson. 12 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Huizar moves, Cedillo seconds. Next.
Mr. President, that would be commendatory resolutions for approval.
Koretz moves, Blumenfield seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, before running through the agenda, there is a recommendation from the Department of Building and Safety to continue item 1A to November 25.
Without objection.
And item 1C to November 7.
Okay, again, without objection.
Very good, sir. Item 1B is an item noticed for public hearing.
Okay, you know what?
We do have cards on 1B, sir.
Okay, so let's hold that item and prepare to vote on the remaining. That's it? Okay, move on to the next.
Very good, sir. Items 2 through 12 are items for which public hearings have been held. Committee reports for items 11 and 12 have been circulated and are before council for consideration.
Specials. Member Mr. Cedillo?
12, forthwith.
As soon as we vote on it. Okay, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
And could we please send item 12 forthwith per Mr. Cedillo's request?
Very good, sir. Items 13.
No, go ahead.
Pardon me, sir. Items 13 through 24 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. I understand items 14 and 18 should be held for an amendment and a substitute motion, respectively.
We'll do that. And in fact, in order to do that, I will say without objection, those items are now before us. And we will hold those two items. What was it, 14 and
18, sir?
Oh, 14 and 18. Do we have cards on any of the other items?
Yes, sir, we do. We have cards on items 13, 16, 19, 21, 22, and 23.
Does that leave us with anything
yes,
left
sir.
to vote on right now?
Just a few, sir.
Okay, let's do that. No specials per the members. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Clerk. That brings us where?
Mr. President, that takes council back to presentations or items called special.
Okay, quickly though, I want to do item 16. Yesenia Ortiz, we have a card. Ms. Ortiz. Item 16. I do not see Ms. Ortiz.
Right here.
Oh, there. She's with you. All right. Mr. Cedillo.
Mr. President, thank you. We are here today, and earlier we announced our desire to move a $50,000 reward for information concerning the tragic death that occurred at an accident on September 14th. Gloria Ortiz was just leaving a family celebration where she was celebrating her new citizenship. She was looking forward to a new life, to all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities of being a citizen in our nation, and it was a very joyful family event. She had had recent knee surgery. She had left the house, and she was crossing at this crosswalk, and it's in front of this school, the Aldama Elementary School in Highland Park, and tragically, she was hit by a motorist. And then to make matters worse, not only did she succumb to the accident, but the motorist pulled to the side and then made a decision to flee the accident. And so we are here to ask for the support of you for the $50,000 reward. I want you to hear from her daughter, Yesenia, before she goes back to work, and from our great detective from the LAPD, Mike Caden. So she is here.
Miss Ortiz, please come forward.
Thank you very much. I'm just asking for any help, any public help, and the city as well to find the person who did this to my mother. It was an accident, he didn't run, but he had the choice of stop and help my mother as well, and he decided to leave the scene. And we haven't got any more information since that day, so it's been 40 days past, and nothing will bring my mother back, but I'm just asking for any help and public help as well to help us find the person who did this.
Thank you for coming. I know it's kind of tough, a lot, really tough, but thank you. So, Mr. Cedillo, did you want to have the officer?
Yes, I want to have Detective Caden.
Good morning. Yeah, we're just asking for the reward and able to hopefully have people to come forward to allow us to invest this case further forward. Our biggest problem in this case is that we just have a basic description of the vehicle that was involved. All I have is an older model black Honda. We have no license plate to go on, so we basically need the public support and be able to locate the driver of this vehicle and the vehicle that was involved in this traffic collision. We're hoping that the reward offer will assist us in having that done.
Thank you. Mr. Cedillo, why don't we see if we can help Ms. Ortiz out on this? On this item, could we open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote?
12 ayes.
That passes. Forthwith on 16, Mr. O'Farrell.
Good morning, Mr. President, colleagues. Today I'd like to recognize some extra special and exceptional constituents of my district joining us here from the STEM Academy at Bernstein High School in Hollywood. How about a big round of applause for the high schoolers of STEM Academy? STEM Academy is a Title I school. And what does that mean? That means that it is in a high-poverty neighborhood where all students qualify for a free or reduced lunch. It is also a neighborhood that the future Hollywood Central Park, the capped park over the freeway, will one day exist, surrounded by neighborhoods where the average household income is $23,000 a year. A lot of people think Hollywood is glamour and glitz and high living, but beneath the glamour and glitz are neighborhoods that struggle. But here today is a story of transcendence for envisioning and building something that is going to be world class, that is going to lift the entire community up, and that's why we're here today. Despite the challenges that many of the STEM students face, they've chosen to attend a rigorous career pathway school, one that emphasizes preparation for students to attend medical and engineering schools. STEM Academy has seen huge gains in high school exit exam scores and in graduation rates. Students and families understand the importance of a STEM education, and as such, school enrollment has skyrocketed. As a linked learning school, STEM Academy connects the classroom with real-world career experiences. Students intern and volunteer in local hospitals and engineering firms. STEM's partnership with Kaiser Permanente has transformed the school's medical pathway, with healthcare being the largest employer in the 13th District. The fact that we have apprenticeship programs and an employment pipeline through Kaiser Permanente right in the neighborhood that has a need, that is really the fulfillment of the highest calling of any employer. And I really want to commend Kaiser Permanente for this wonderful program. On top of all the amazing things I mentioned, I'd like to emphasize its partnership with Hollywood Central Park. They are working very closely to transform the future of this area through an engineering pathway. This experience is having an immense impact, not just on the students who are participating, but on the people involved with helping to build this park. I want to acknowledge two of those individuals right now, and someone who is a very dear friend of mine, who is a force of nature to be reckoned with in all the right ways, and that is the executive director of the Friends of Hollywood Central Park, and that is Lori Goldman. Lori, please take a bow.
Thank you.
Sure. And with Lori also representing the park, I would like to acknowledge Alfredo Hernandez, another local community member who is on the board. And at this time, I'd like to introduce another friend, the principal of STEM Academy, and a really great community leader, and that is Mr. Paul Hirsch. Paul, please say a few words. There he is. You got it.
Let's give him a round of applause. Really. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Paul Hirsch, principal of the STEM Academy, and we're really here to say thank you to Lori Goldman and her team, to Alfredo Hernandez. These guys are fundamentally transforming our school. I'll echo some of the things that Councilman O'Farrell just mentioned, but we are a pilot school on the Helen Bernstein campus with 550 students. 300 of them have chosen a medical career pathway. 250 of them have chosen an engineering pathway. They have self-selected a rigorous school. They have a lot of options. They chose to come to us. We understand that responsibility. We are a 100% Title I school. That means because of their socioeconomic status, they're receiving free and reduced lunch. They're also 100% awesome and deserve a first-rate education.
Yes.
They're awesome. You guys look awesome.
I'm not sure if the council is familiar with linked learning schools, but there are about 43 of them now in the district and growing. We seek to create career pathways. At STEM, it's a medical pathway and an engineering pathway. On the medical side, our partnership with Kaiser, fundamentally transforming the opportunities for our students. But we were looking for a partner on our engineering side, and we really feel blessed that Lori Goldman and her team helped us out, because we have now regular engineering professionals visiting our school, geologists, structural engineers, civil engineers are now regulars on our campus. Field trips, guest speakers, and then the kind of gold cup of the work-based learning experience, internships. So our students are interning. It's nice to bring home a straight A report card. It's even more incredible to bring home a paycheck. The power of a paycheck, bringing that home to our families is incredible. And we thank Ms. Goldman for her work. Rather than me going on too much, I'd love for the students to speak for themselves, so I'll bring up a senior, Armin Martirosian. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. President. My name is Armin Martirosian. I'm a senior at STEM Academy of Hollywood on the Bernstein campus. I'm here with some of my peers this morning, and I'd just like to take a minute to express my excitement and gratitude towards the Friends of Hollywood Central Park. Since the beginning of the year, my engineering class, taught by Ms. Catherine Simon, has been connected with the Hollywood Central Park in an effort to include the community and bridge the gap between the classroom and real-world job opportunities. The involvement of the Central Park has strengthened my school's understanding of what it means to truly be an engineer. And Hollywood Central Park has also graciously offered our school internship opportunities, for which we are extremely grateful. We have an entire curriculum centered around the Hollywood Central Park. It's an amazing opportunity for the students at STEM Academy to be immersed in something real and tangible, rather than simply have to go through the motions of something hypothetical and abstract. Who knows, perhaps someday STEM Academy alumni will be full-time, will have a full-time position working on the project. Finally, I'd just like to thank Ms. Lori Goldman and Mr. Alfredo Hernandez. They're standing right behind me. You people, you guys really, really, truly care about the community, and you've blessed STEM Academy with an amazing opportunity, one which we will never forget. Thank you very much.
Colleagues, how cool is it that the very students who are working on this project now may actually help build the project in their own neighborhood? That is really, really remarkable. I want to highlight the fact that STEM Academy, through their work, they are actually seeking to rebuild the middle-class workforce by preparing students for careers, as Principal Hirsch mentioned, in healthcare and engineering. And we should really have an emphasis and a focus on rebuilding our middle class. And so I think that's extremely commendable. I also want to acknowledge, along with Masis Honanian, Armin Martirosyan, who just spoke, Carla Martinez, Amy Espina, my apologies, and then also educator Catherine Simmons. Is Ms. Simmons here too? Yes, okay. Oh, there. Oh, step forward. Yeah. And Principal Paul Hirsch, and we're going to be presenting them all with certificates. I want to thank all of you for being here today in this really wonderfully ambitious but completely realistic project that will be the Hollywood Central Park. The draft environmental impact review is currently underway, and this is going to transform Hollywood and connect the east side of Hollywood with the west side of Hollywood with a 44-acre park with active recreation and amenities for the community that lives there and deserves these amenities. So thank you so much, STEM Academy and Friends of Hollywood Central Park, for joining me today, and congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations to you all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Labange for an introduction.
Mr. President, at high noon today in downtown Los Angeles, there's going to be a signing. It's going to be a signing of a pact between the Rotary Club of Los Angeles, one of the oldest rodeo clubs in all the United States, and the Berlin Rotary Club of our sister city, Berlin, Germany. I'd like to ask Council General Dr. Fisher to stand, and also to ask
Council General,
all our delegation to stand and be recognized.
Welcome to you all.
Peter Kent, the president, just wanted to say hello. He read all about you, Mr. President. President to president. You're a Rotary man.
Mr. President, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak in this council and to express our gratitude for a one-day visit that we had to visit Los Angeles, the sister city of Berlin. We have come here as a small delegation of the Rotary Club of Berlin to see the progress that has been made in this community. I have personally been in this area at Caltech specifically some 50 years ago, and I hardly recognize what I see today. Thank you very much.
You're all welcome. Give yourselves.
Dankeschön, Dankeschön.
Ms. Martinez. I'd like to recognize Ms. Martinez. Ms. Martinez.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome to Council the Foothill Vice Unit. As you know, I've spent a great deal on the Council working with LAPD, city departments, community leaders to address the sex trafficking problem in my district. And I have told you about the young girls being forced into prostitution by sexual predators and pedophiles. Today I'm proud to introduce to you the boots on the ground and the heroes that are fighting to protect our streets and change the lives of victims every day. Over a year ago, I attended my first task force, and since then I have worked with now Commander Malinowski and Sergeant Scott Murray. Everyone here risks their lives every time they rescue a victim of sex trafficking and arrest pimping criminals. They develop relationships with the victims and bring to justice the pimps, the Johns that are harming these women and children in Los Angeles. From victims that have no choice but to leave their 3-year-olds in the cares of their pimps, where they are forced to work the streets, to children kidnapped and taken away from their homes thousands of miles away. This Vice unit can tell you endless stories of working on Sepulveda and Lankershim corridors. But today I'd like to share a story that really touched my heart. Just last week, this same team worked with the Mission Area Vice team during an undercover prostitution investigation. In their work, they detained 2 women, a 19-year-old adult and a 16-year-old juvenile. Over the course of their interview, these officers found that both women were victims of prostitution. Even worse, they found that the pimp suspect was in possession of the adult's 5-day-old infant. That's right, 5-day-old infant. At this point, the Vice team worked collaboratively to take down the pimp into custody without incident and rescue the infant child unharmed. While this may seem like the work had been done, their job was not over. After the interviews, the officers found out that the adult had been under the pimp's control for 7 to 8 months. When she wanted to leave this life after giving birth to her child, the pimp refused and instead held the baby ransom and demanding even more earnings from her. The juvenile victim had been pandered on numerous occasions over the course of the past week, as the pimp coerced her to make sure she produced almost $1,000 in earnings as working as a prostitute. Now both children and the woman have been rescued, and we made sure that criminal charges were filed against the pimp. This is just one of the heart-wrenching stories that this squad has shared with my office over the course of a year. I am always inspired by these officers' ability to switch roles, from an undercover prostitute to arresting officer to a sympathetic ear that rescues these women. They are uniquely able to handle many difficult parts of their work on the Vice team. But despite their tragic stories, there is still hope. Our collaboration and support with Foothill Vice, this team has more than doubled the pimping arrest in this area, including 26 pimps so far this year have been arrested. Thank you. That's an average of 3 a month. And while I am very proud of the work with my office and the city attorney, truly this Vice Squad is making a real difference on the ground every day, and they need to be applauded for their work. I'd like to introduce a friend of mine who I got to know a little over a year ago after going on one of the task force. The one thing that struck me the most about Sergeant Scott Murray was the fact that during the operation, I was riding with him in his car, and one of the things that really stuck with me is that he answered a phone call, and it happened to be his daughter. It happened to be his daughter who was about to go to bed, and it was about 9 o'clock p.m., and I think she wanted to just say goodnight to her dad. And it really struck that the fact that him and his team go out, every night and try to do the best that they can to not only rescue some of these women, but to also make some of these difficult arrests. And they all have families. They all have families to go back to, and they all have children. And so Scott and I became friends, and I can't tell you the admiration and the diligence that this man has in carrying out his duties every single day as a police officer. I am very proud of him and of his team, and I'd like to introduce to you now Sergeant Scott Murray.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. I'd like to thank the council for the privilege and the honor to really recognize the men and women that work for us. All of the credit, all of the honors, all of the accolades belong to them. Like Ms. Martinez said, about 2 years ago, we were challenged by our boss then, Captain, now Commander Malinowski, as well as the Command of Operations Valley Bureau to address the human trafficking and sex trafficking problem along the Lankershim and Sepulveda Boulevard corridors. These men and women behind me are a bunch of young police officers that took that challenge up. They took it personal, and they chose to make a difference out there. They chose to recognize a change in the paradigm thinking that had been existed for a long time, that being the prostitutes that were on the street were mere criminals. What they chose to view them as women, they chose them to view them as victims, they chose them to view them as mothers, as well as children of parents, grandparents, etc. And they took it upon themselves. They made it a personal goal. They made it their charge to take these pimp predators off the streets, rescue these women from their situations, provide them with housing. Like Ms. Martinez said, the baby that was rescued last week, that wasn't the first, and unfortunately it won't be the last. But the communities of the Northeast San Fernando Valley and Van Nuys, particularly in Council District 6, they should be thankful. They should be appreciative that these men and women are out there. They're out there every night working to save these girls from a life of tragedy, pain, suffering. The image of the street-walking prostitute as somebody that likes it, wants it, is doing it for money is completely false. These men and women know that. And like the councilwoman said, they all have families. They're all husbands. They're husbands and fathers, wives and mothers. The personal sacrifices that they made to me, to the police department, and to the community over the past 2 years are commendable. And I appreciate everything they've done. Thank you.
I just want to make a note that Sergeant Scott Murray is being promoted, and he's going to soon become lieutenant. And we are going to miss him because he's going to unfortunately have to move to a different station. So you all will be very, very lucky if he ends up in one of your stations in your districts, because this man works day and night. So big shoes to fill at Foothill Vice when we find out who his replacement is going to be. I want to also recognize Commander Regina Scott. Commander Scott oversees the Vice teams throughout the city of Los Angeles. Is she here? Thank you very much. You want to say?
I just want to take a moment just to thank you. I mean, like you said, the officers do their work and they don't expect anything, but the fact that you came in, made this a priority, and it wasn't just that it was something that she wanted to do, it was the collaboration. And anyone who's worked in a vice capacity knows that getting a pimping arrest and a conviction is probably the hardest thing to do. And this unit here not only did the 26, but they also built protocols and establishes guidelines so that the other vice units throughout the department now have a way to prosecute these pimps. And I will tell you, when you get one of these pimps in the car, they think it's a revolving door because the penalties for when they get caught is nothing. But they have now changed that paradigm shift and threw in conspiracy charges against them and made it more substantial. So I'm so proud of them. I didn't even know they dressed up this good because every time I see them,
they're undercover.
They're pretty scary. But again, I am so proud of them and proud of the work that they've done. And again, Councilman Martinez, thank you so much for taking the lead.
Thank you, Commander Scott. I also want to recognize our new captain at Foothill, Captain Ernest Esridge. Thank you very much, Captain, for being here this morning.
I'd just like to say we have an extraordinary group here, our vice unit, but who's leading the charge is Councilmember Martinez. She did it both in Van Nuys Division while I was there, and she's doing it again in Foothill Division. What she's done is given us 2 PED officers, prostitution enforcement detail officers, or helped us get those 2. That has helped us lead the charge, and she did the same thing for us at Van Nuys. She's a true leader and hero in this area, and we can't do it without her support. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Captain.
Great words there, Captain.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to introduce to you the team, the vice team at Foothill, and on behalf of the City of Los Angeles and Council District 6, I want to present each of them with a certificate of accommodation and actually introduce them to you. Commander Sean Melanowski is not here this morning, but I wanted to recognize him. Sergeant Scott Murray. Sergeant Robert Lugo is not here this morning, but we've also want to make sure he gets acknowledged. Police Officer Jose Monzon. Wait. Police Officer 2, Claudia de la Cruz. Police Officer William Correas. Police Officer Lisette Menenses. Police Officer Serena Thomas. Police Officer Gregory Papit. And Police Officer Sandy Soto. Thank you very much. I told them all they clean up really well because I've seen them at all hours of the night, and they truly go undercover and do the good work on behalf of all of our constituents in the Northeast Valley. Thank you so much for the work that you do, and we'll continue to do everything we can to support you. Thank you very much, council members.
Ms. Martinez, thank you. And as the commander spoke of, it takes a leader like you to put it all together, and this makes a big difference in the lives of people. We used to have this problem on Sunset Boulevard, and it takes a concerted effort. And thank the LAPD. And Commander, if you got extra time, you guys got the greatest badge of any agency in the world. Visit the top of the tower, the Tom Bradley Tower, a former police officer as well, lieutenant, and enjoy it, overlook the city. And you can look down on Chief Beck across the street at the headquarters. Anyway, thank you all. See you, Commander. Good job, Ms. Martinez. Mr. Weezar from the 14th District was a very great theatrical.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Before I go, can we send number 24 forthwith, please? 24.
So ordered. So ordered.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President, and it's a great honor to be here this morning with a group of Latino artists from all over the United States and Puerto Rico, and I want to welcome them to these chambers. They are all sharing their immense talents right here in downtown Los Angeles as part of a truly unique theater festival at the Los Angeles Theater Center. It's called Encuentro 2014, and today we are declaring this Encuentro 2014 month in honor of this festival that is bringing together 150 artists from all over the United States and Puerto Rico and who are creating history here in the city of Los Angeles. This festival is being presented by the Los Angeles Theater Company in association with the Latino Theater Commons at the LATC, which is operated by the Latino Theater Company. And it's appropriate to have this festival here. After all, over close to 50% of the population in Los Angeles is Latino, and this city, many countries in Latino America have the second largest population to their own countries. And it's reflected throughout all the walks in life in Los Angeles. If you look at the City of Los Angeles employees, to our workforce, you see that diversity of people with origins from all over the world displayed, and it is certainly reflective of Latinos. So it's appropriate that this festival is held in Los Angeles, but it is also appropriate because Los Angeles is also home to Hollywood and the film industry, which is, while it has improved, it's still nowhere near an industry that reflects the American experience and diversity that we see here in our fair city and throughout our country. When one of the Latino Company's founding members, the great actress Lupe Ontiveros, passed away a couple of years ago, the Academy failed to honor her in their in memoriam segment of the Academy Awards which drew a hail of criticism from the Latino community, including yours truly. It was a stark indication of the disconnect that still exists in the entertainment community here in the city of Los Angeles, where there really is no excuse for that disconnect. And that disconnect also exists in our theater community in this country, particularly our large and mid-sized theaters. And that's why this theater festival is so important. And when I say that Encuentro 2014 is groundbreaking, it really is. These artists that you see behind me are creating history. They are turning the mirror of life toward the stage and telling truths that need to be told. Their performances inspire us, make us angry, make us cry, make us laugh, and let the world know that Latinos are multifaceted people with distinct and diverse histories within our own communities. I want to thank Jose Luis Valenzuela and Evelina Fernandez, who could not be with us today, and the Latino Theater Company for hosting the festival at the Los Angeles Theater Center. For nearly 30 years, the Latino Theater Company has been producing quality theatrical productions here in the city of Los Angeles. And more than that, they have been the torchbearers for reminding other mainstream theaters and artistic directors here in Southern California that the Latino, Black, Asian, and Indigenous experience isn't an exotic experience. It isn't an outsider or minority experience. It is an American experience that is undeniably part of the diverse fabric of this country. I do want to mention that there is a capital campaign to name and redesign a theater at the Los Angeles Theater Center in honor of Lupe Ontiveros. My office is supporting that effort, which is going to be a wonderful addition to the theater center and a source of inspiration for young artists. To find out more information on all the shows playing in October and in November as part of the Encuentro 2014, go to thelatc.org. Mr. Cedillo, thelatc.org, right? Got that? Now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the man behind Encuentro 2014, Jose Luis my tocayo Valenzuela.
Thank you so much, Council Wizard. Thank you to the City Council. I think I've been here many, many times, and not for the same reason. But I'm very thankful to come and be recognized and recognizing this historical event that's happening in Los Angeles, but in the United States. The people that are behind me are from theater companies from Caborca, from New York, Intar Unit 52 from New York, Borderlands from Tucson, Arizona, About Production from LA, Aurora Theater from Atlanta, Georgia, Theater Mito from New York, Tantai Teatro from Puerto Rico, Pregones from New York, CalArts, Ricky Behinds from Riverside, Jose Torres Tama from New Orleans, Teatro Campesino from San Juan Bautista. And these companies have come together, going to be here for 1 month. It's 150 artists who are getting involved in the city and downtown LA, encountering each other, creating new work, and also presenting their work from all over the United States to show the city of LA the landscape of Latino theater. And I'm so thankful to you for welcoming them, as well for the city of LA that is welcoming them and coming to the performances. I want to say that some of the other members, Su Teatro from Denver, the Latino Theater Company, and El Teatro Campesino are here right now because they're performing for around 600 kids, children from the LAUSD. We have a partnership with the LAUSD. We're going to bring 10,000 students to come. So thank you so much for this proclamation.
We haven't given it to you yet. Thank you very much. And if any of you are looking for a job here in City Hall, you see the guy walking right there? His name is Rick Coca. He started in American Me and the Mexican, and I got him from a program called When Young Child Actors Go Wrong. And so I was able to get him from there, give him a better life here in City Hall. Well, thank you very much. And on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, it's my great pleasure to present this to you, to Encuentro 2014, and declare it here in the City of Los Angeles, the Encuentro 2014 month. Felicidades, muchísimas gracias. Adelante. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Congratulations. And I'm going to call on the president of the City Council in a moment. as this group goes for recognition in the press room. Mr. Herb Wesson, President Wesson, next, please. Mr. Wesson.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. This is a bittersweet day for me. A very, very dear friend is under the impression that she is retiring today. And I felt it was appropriate that I say a few words. And I did say to Dolores that I had to let all of the members go first because I'm the president and I felt that members should go before me. But really that was an excuse. I was hoping she would change her mind and decide to stay with us. But I have with me a dear friend that's known as outspoken and fearless, and that's Dolores Reese, who's been a member of the city family for over 2 decades. Can we give her a round of applause? Dolores, I have a couple of notes because I don't want to forget some of the highlights. But you know me, I like to just without notes. But in 1973, Dolores decided to come to Los Angeles from Alton, Illinois, correct? Yes. Okay, so I'm rolling right now. I came the year, I knew you were coming. I came the year after you in 1974. But she became a member and is a member of AFSCME District Council 36, where for 2 decades she has fought for the rights and the protections of city employees, in particular our civilian personnel. Dolores doesn't stop there. Because of her ability to just get to know people and the automatic respect that we give her, Dolores was instrumental in coming up with the concept of 2 major pieces of legislation in Sacramento that again dealt with labor rights and public safety. There was a bill that was a Mr. Cedillo and Richard Alarcon bill, and also a bill by Anthony Portantino. Dolores was appointed by the mayor and myself to the Elections Reforms Commission because she felt embarrassed by the voter turnout like so many of us do. So she was on the very important commission where we acted on their recommendations on Friday, and a week from today, Dolores, we will hopefully have the votes to push this forward and put it on the ballot. And a lot of that is because of the hard work that you put in as a commissioner on that commission. I don't know where she finds the time to do everything that she does. She is also a member of one of the neighborhood councils in the district that I represent. She, members, was elected with 78% of the vote. All right. Give her 78. Dolores, I was only elected with 75, right? You see her here because she recognizes that it's not okay, it doesn't make you a man if you beat up a woman or if you abuse your children. So she's been very active in domestic violence and the various programs that we have to prevent cancer. She volunteered at the regional food bank, and she worked with Mothers in Actions to feed the homeless. But for me, it's more than that. She was my friend, and I don't think that she has no in her vocabulary. Karen Bass, Congresswoman who I love, and Senator Holly Mitchell and myself, we fight over Dolores, over who's going to get Dolores to do work for them. So I think at this point, I am outpointing them, Dolores, and it is my goal to continue to have you do more for me than them. Yes, Holly, I said it. Yes, Karen, I said it. You see a group of people behind us with Dolores that they don't like her, they love her. And they are not happy to see her go because Dolores still has so very much to give. And for me, I am startled by this, and I will be before council's over introducing a motion revoking your retirement, forcing you to sign another contract for 10 years. But she's earned this, and I can guarantee you Dolores will probably be busier volunteering and helping others than she actually is today, and she is extremely busy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you an individual who has been your friend, an individual who I love and is my friend, Dolores Spears.
Mr. Wesson, thank you. Very nice for that. Mr. Price would like to stand and join in the chorus.
I would just like to join Labor family and friends in saluting Dolores. We know that she's done a great job for the members she represents, but also a great job in the community at large. So on behalf of that community at large, Dolores, we thank you. And my only regret is that she doesn't live in the 9th.
I'll have her forever. So, Dolores, before you speak, I want to present you. Not only will I have her forever, I'm going to put some kind of covenant in place where she can't move unless she moves closer to me, Mr. Price. Anyway, we have a resolution. We have a revolution. Revolution will not be televised. Anyway, we have a resolution that's signed by the entire council and the mayor. And Dolores, this is the least we could do. Let's take a photo. Everybody, eyes left. And Betsy. Dolores, the floor is yours.
Oh my God. I've always been very emotional. Thank you, Herb. I've spent the last 34 years representing employees one way or another. In the last 22 years, representing employees in the city of Los Angeles in discipline matters, contract negotiations, and the legislative political process and issues. I've worked with many of you in AFSCME's candidate forums. I'm especially proud of my work with the Domestic Violence Task Force. The city developed a policy in support of employees when a nexus could be shown that violence and/or abuse in the home spilled over into the workplace and affected employees' work performance. AFSCME District Council 36 was a major part in developing that policy. And the task force went a step further in developing a training manual for employees and management to recognize the symptoms of domestic violence. And thanks to my city councilman, Herb Wesson, I'm proud to be a part of that process. I've been working for 14 years, and people have called me at times a workaholic and asked, what will I do now that I'm retiring? Even though I'm retiring from my work as a union representative, I have not retired from city service to this great city and my community. I've served the city, as Herb says, as a commissioner on the election reform, as a member of the Domestic Violence Task Force, and I will continue working as an elected board member of my neighborhood council, UNNC. I will now continue, as I said, continue my work with UNNC. I'll have time now to play with not my grandchildren, my great-grandbabies. I have 3 of those. Wow. And, of course, have high tea with the Red Hat Society. Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said. They will forget what you did. And people will never forget how you made them feel. And I have felt very special working in the city of Los Angeles. It's been a long journey and an exciting one, as well as educational. And I thank everyone, the council, the employees, and management, especially management in building and safety, who has played a great part in that process. I would not have lasted all these years doing this work without the support of my colleagues in AFSCME District Council 36. I thank you.
Mr. Weston, that was very special. Give Dolores a bigger hand, everybody, right there. I want to hear it. Take those grandchildren to Roy Stone's libraries. Okay. Thank you very much. The next item number 18, item 18, Mr. Clerk, I got 1 card. Mr. Herman.
And, Mr. President, there is a substitute motion for item 18. That's substitute motion, Englander Koretz.
You're running my time. I have a time, please. And if not, the whole issue here again is the illegal process of the liens. I'm going to hold it down to 1 minute because obviously someone here, anyone here with big ears don't listen.
All right, so that matter is now before us. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Great, thank you. Next item, please.
Mr. President, that brings us to item 1B, called Special for Cards.
Okay. John Walsh, you've also got a card on item 13, so if you want to speak, John, on 1 and 13 and 19. And 21. So you've got one on 1, 13, 19, and 21.
And 22 and 23. You keep losing them. Item 1, this is an excellent, you're doing an excellent job in collecting money, except when you overcharge people. They come here, we tell them their rights, and they get their bills sliced. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, and for identification purposes only, chairman of the no committee, 6 no's on the propositions, send them a message. Tree trimming, Council District 8, doing an excellent job. tree trimming. That's Bernard Parks' district. Unfortunately, in Hollywood, our trees are overgrown. The celebrity lookalikes, when they beat up one another, they hit one another's heads against the trees. Come to Hollywood and get beaten up by Snow White. Number 20, number 21, this is a traffic signal for Pico and Rimpau. This is in District 10, and this is in Herb Weston's district. We're all for, we just don't see, this is a rare instance, we don't see much traffic signaling and striping in districts that are minority districts. Most of it is in Hollywood for the tourists. And number 21, okay, and then we're going to 22 and 23, and that would be, this I can't believe, this is the worst of them all. You are spending $50,000. Remember, this city is bankrupt. We all know it. You know it. Jack Humphreyville knows it. Go to Jack Humphreyville as well. We are giving $50,000 in a trust fund, transfer $50,000 amenities trust fund to these schools for amenities. Well, I'm not interested in amenities, and I'm telling you right now, the school board should be doing this. We got DZ Daisy fired. That you never thought. The school board and a number of these these Vincent Van Gogh charter school. He's the guy who cut off his ear. Good role model for children. El Oro charter school. Charter schools, forget them. These schools are mostly white. They have a vastly larger percentage of whites in these schools than the regular schools. And sidewalk repairs, again, I've got to hand it to Jose Huizar. Now that he's got a candidate running against him, all of a sudden he's repairing his sidewalks. I've been coming here pretty regularly since I retired, and that's the past 6 years, and this is the first time I can see sidewalk repairs in Council District. It's $250,000, and what you're supposed to do in exchange for this is vote against Gloria Molina. Okay, nobody could be meaner than Gloria Molina, but still vote for her.
He is not talking
HollywoodHighlands.org, the salaries, overtime, Central Los Angeles, recycling. This is Huizar, $250,000, and it needs, the sidewalks in his district need about $15, $20 million to bring them up to the white sidewalks west of La Brea. And if you disagree with me, any black or African, come west of La Brea. You could eat off the sidewalks there. Minorities. And I want to say, the white city councilmen stand up for their people.
Again, you're not on the subject, so thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Herman, why don't you come back up, finish your time off on item 1, 14, 19, and 22.
Stress the issue here about the Federal Highway Administration. John Walsh, HollywoodHighland.org, was 1,001% correct regarding what? Public right-of-ways by councilmen, and to mention by name on this agenda, item 23, motion of Jose Huizar and Mr. Flunky Fuentes, who's not here today. And I have to say this because at 650 Capitol Mall, Sacramento 05814, there is an investigation of the allegations that the city of Los Angeles has violated the rights of many of its constituents, all of you Angelenos, regarding the public right-of-ways, misuse and misappropriations of funding. And Batman wants you to know that, children, for the truth and for the record, that 504 was amended on both sides of the ADA for violations, addressing accessibility for pedestrians right-of-way. Again, Mr. Huizar, pedestrian right-of-ways to facilitate persons that have or with cause have a disability. Not that they're disabled, but they are persons with a disability. And how dare you take the wrong action of spending all the Angelenos, all you taxpayers' monies, not to repair, fix, alter every and all sidewalks and streets. Thanks to Batman and the gentleman from Boyle Heights, Mr. Herman, on the corridors for repairing public right-of-ways. Thank him. But further note, going on item 22 by motion of Mr. Englander and you, Mr. Koretz, providing amenities for schools. Public officials have no business with schools. Conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. The same reason John Daisy got fired for selling his bullshit iPads, that he was technically wrong.
Okay, you're not on subject, so you got to stay on subject.
Thank you. So the bottom line is this. Who is gonna check and balance Mr. Koretz and Mr. Hugh Englander when it comes to spending $50,000 for these schools here? Beckford, Maywell, Vanguard, El Oro, John F. Kennedy. Come on. There is no transparency in this city anymore. And Batman is bringing it out the truth. There is no transparency. That's the reason why we don't got effing sidewalks that are safe for all the pedestrians, all the people here with disabilities. Not discrimination and not your racist actions to dislike people who live in poverty. Because this is the issue why sidewalks and streets have not been fixed since 1973. A federal ruling that you promised. Batman, calm down. Calm down, Batman. Take a step back. Now that I got your attention, with all our big ears, let's remember that Section 504 as amended bounces back ways, umbrellas, ADA, Title I, Title II, federal dollars and state dollars to repair and fix federal highways in our streets. Public right-of-ways are for the public. Thank you, Sacramento.
Great. That concludes all the speakers on all the items. Council members, do we have any specials from council members on those? We have items 13. Well, if you could please read which items are before us.
We have item 1B, item 13, item 14, item 19, item 21, item 22, and item 23.
Okay, Mr. Weiser.
Thank you. On item 14, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do a motion or just request that we adopt the CAO report on item 14. It's just a request, or should I need to move that?
That would need a motion, sir.
So I'd like to move that we adopt the CAO report, please.
Okay.
And
so moved with Councilmember Price as a second. That'll be the order. So those items are before us, colleagues. We'll go ahead. We'll vote on 14 separately. Okay, 14 we'll take it separately since it had a motion. We'll open the roll on the balance of those items and close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, and 22 forthwith will be the request. Without objection, that'll be the order. Thank you so much. Now we'll have item 14 before us, colleagues, with the amendment. Okay, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, that'll conclude the agenda items, and now we have general public comment. Lucas Robert.
Good morning, everybody. You know, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been over here because you guys have had a lot of important stuff going on, and this is really for Councilman Huizar. I moved out of his district, and I'm now in Herb Wesson's district. But I needed to let Mr. Weezar know that, you know, in trying to do what I wanted to do for some of the homeless and the mentally ill and some of the issues down on Skid Row, I appreciate the efforts that were made. You did the town hall meeting. His deputy was very supportive of me and the people that I brought. And I just want you to know that I appreciate everything that you do, even some of the physical improvements to the city, because it means a lot to the people that live down there. They don't have nothing except what's around them, and you've made it better for everybody. To Mr. Herb Wesson, I'm going to try to visit your office because there's some issues with some of the transitional living in your district that I'm at, and I'm trying to make a difference there, and I will be to see you because I'm not done.
Thank you. Is it Jack Carr? I'm trying to read the name. Yes.
Good morning, City Council, members of Los Angeles, and citizens of Los Angeles. I'm here before you today to make a comment regarding a matter an issue that was discussed during the last City Council session that I found sort of alarming. It's regarding the voter turnout in local elections here in Los Angeles. I understand only 16% of black voters in the community turn out, and 16% in the Latino community, and 14% in the black community. I stand before you to make some suggestions on how you can increase voter turnout in your precincts and in your districts as council members. You know, for one, if you had precinct captains in your districts who participated in the community a little more often, maybe that would help. Also, young democratic organizations within your district and your district office with monthly meetings to raise voter awareness amongst the young generation could help as well. Back to school parades every year that'll get attention of the people in the community. Back to school picnics, summer picnics every year, something that the people can participate in. I'm quite sure it'll help tremendously. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. No, thank you very much. Kevin Morale? Kevin?
I should say good morning, distinguished President and council members, or I should say what's left of the council. Actually, I sent out a letter regarding blocking pornography access at the Los Angeles Library. I sent it out to all the council members and the mayor, and basically I did get 2 responses, and that's from automated emails. So I did receive 2 of them. And actually, as far as the water purification machines in Skid Row, I would appreciate if Mr. Huszar, I would like to get together with you and talk to you about that. I'll make an appointment to see you. That's one priority. But every district in Los Angeles does have a library in it. And libraries are, I should say the library system is an extension of the classroom, which I put in the letter. And I think it's inappropriate that
Great, thank you. Thank you, sir.
pornography is shown in
Daniel Singleton? Followed by John Walsh.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, I have two issues. One, the first one is I have a complaint about an extremely long traffic light located at 6th and San Julian Streets. The light is extremely long in the north and south direction going that way. Hey, I'm serious. Hey, it's been like this for years. It's ridiculous. I'm serious. How can this go on? I'm serious. I'm in that area. I work there. First of all, I work there. I work for a church. I'm a musician. I work for Central City Church. They're located across the street from the Weingart. I'm saying, okay. I'm saying, how can people let this happen? I'm so long. I'm just saying. It's been years. I'm saying, I just noticed. How can this go on? I mean, what's going on here? I'm just saying, you go. It takes. That's why it's people to
Thank
get.
you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Send a message to Sacramento, no, on all propositions. There's 6 of them. No, 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 no. All 6 of them. Send a message, Sandra Fluke, for you have to be in her senatorial district. And we had a big conversation about Ebola. Well, there was another case, again, from Africa. The first for a white man. And this is supposed to be a black. And did you see what the doctor did up until yesterday? He took the subway. He played bowling. He didn't go to the doctor. The white man with doctor until his temperature was 103. When it was 99, when it was 100, 101, 102, he was out there on the subway sharing his particles. White disease, not a black disease, the white death. HollywoodHighlands.org, Ebola.
Herman?
Folks, isn't it the truth that, look, without a mask, your favorite constituent can still bash? He could talk about the assault by Mr. Koretz on October 7th, 2 hours and 3 minutes. He can refer to Mr. Weezar's competition of Miss Gloria Molina and Miss Nadine from Boyle Heights. But I'm here today to speak to you personally to say this. It's time that we no longer vote for special interests. Batman was here and he wants your support. All you Americans, all you who were bamboozled by Obama, you Democrats spoke up about it and said what? Let's get all the young college kids to vote. And for what purpose and what reason? We still have the problems with illegal immigration. Vote no, vote no, vote no. Propositions all no. Have a good weekend, America.
Brian Bras. Brian?
I guess I can point out 3 crises that LaRouche, the Schiller Institute, pointed out. 1, obviously, ISIS. 2, Ebola, ISIS, and then the financial collapse. I think the problem here, I have to say, is that last night I read something interesting. We are a republic. And the word democracy shouldn't be tolerated because it leads into tyranny. That is what the ancients knew, and I'm surprised that people today use the word democracy. We're not. The race of the human being in a republic is an intelligentsia for the good.
Thank you. That concludes general public comment. Colleagues, do we have any announcements? Councilmember O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to announce that tomorrow morning in the great community of Elysian Valley, I'm having one of my community walks where we outreach to the constituents. We give them information on how to better access city services. And we'll be meeting at 9:30 a.m. at Marsh Street Park. I hope that the constituents and those interested in participating with my team and I can join me. We'll be walking the neighborhood for a couple of hours. And with that, over the next couple of weeks, starting tomorrow with this initial outreach in Elysian Valley, we are going to be handing out kits that include an LED light bulb and a shower aerator, and they're called Water Watch kits, and I'm working with the Department of Water and Power. We're going to reach 4,000 households over the next couple of weeks through this program. And if we don't hand deliver one to you, you can contact my office to come and pick up a kit yourself. But we do have a team that is going to be walking door to door over the next couple of weeks to hand out these kits. It's going to save on water, and it's going to save on electricity. So I encourage everyone to take advantage of this wonderful new resource, and I look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow morning with me on Councilmember in Your Corner in Elysian Valley. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Councilmember Bernard Parks.
Yes, thank you very much. I'd just like to remind the public that Active Recycling's program for taking in free trash continues until October 31st. The first load will be free. Second loads and third would have to be paid for. But Active Recycling is at 2000 West Slauson Avenue. They can take everything but toxic material, liquids, and food. And so I look forward to having people continue. There's picked up or delivered so far literally thousands of pounds of trash that was from the street. And so we ask you to continue using that service through October 31st.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yes.
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. And then on that, I also have an announcement for tomorrow morning. We'll be hosting our annual Boys and Girls Cleanup. It's sponsored tomorrow by the Cub Scouts. And we'll be doing that at Stony Point Park, where they show up and attend every year. The public is welcome to join. We'll be picking up trash and cleaning up graffiti. Stony Point Park in Chatsworth, California, located at Topanga, just south of the 118 freeway. As many of you know, is one of the jewels of the San Fernando Valley, where many hikers and rock climbers actually learn their trade of rock climbing and hiking. And it's a beautiful facility, so we welcome the public to attend that. So with that, we have motions for posting and referral. We'll go ahead and post and refer those matters. And do we have any adjourning motions, colleagues? Seeing none. Oh, one. I'm sorry. If we can all rise for adjourning motions for Councilmember Paul Koretz. Get everybody to please rise. And one for Councilmember Bernard Parks as well. Okay. Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's always very sad to adjourn after someone's passing, but it's particularly heart-wrenching to do so after a life, particularly a young life, has been taken through a despicable act. And so I'm very heavy-hearted in asking that we adjourn today in memory of 3-month-old Chaya Zissel Braun. She and her father, Shmuley, grew up in L.A. He went to Yeshiva Gedola High School, and Chaya's grandparents, Moshe and Esther Braun, live in the 5th Council District. Their son, Shmuley Braun, and his wife, Chani, were returning from the Western Wall, where they had just taken their baby daughter, Chaya, for the first time. This was just last week on Friday, October 17th. They had gotten off a light rail car when an automobile in a terror attack rammed into the disembarking passengers, fatally injuring Chaya, who would die a few hours later in a Jerusalem hospital. It's certainly shocking that such an innocent life can be lost forever to the hate of others. 8 other people were injured in this reprehensible assault, including Chaya's father, Shmuley, with a broken rib and additional wounds. Chaya's parents are American citizens, as was she. The American government has condemned this attack and offered its condolences to Chaya's family, and I ask solemnly that we do the same today.
Very sad. Oh, thank you. Councilmember Parks.
Thank you. I ask that we adjourn in memory of Mildred Millie Wilson, who passed away October the 3rd, 2014 at the age of 94. She was born October 1919 in Gainesville, Georgia. She had a very interesting and active life. As a teenager, she was actively involved in the Marcus Garvey Back to Africa movement. She moved to New Orleans, Louisiana, where she met Samuel Curley and later married. They later gave birth to their one daughter, Lorraine Doris Curley. And then she later found work in Los Angeles County. She was looking for a change, so she later migrated to San Francisco for a brief period. She became an LVN. By 1953, she decided to move back to Los Angeles and work tirelessly at the Queen of Angels Hospital, but eventually went to work for Bethlehem Steel as the first African-American industrial nurse. Later in life, Millie believed she was the only child, but later learned that her mother left her home when she became pregnant and leaving behind a husband and 2 children. With only a handful of information, she worked tirelessly to find her family. She searched and finally found her sister. She soon reconnected with the extended family and founded the Jones Family Reunion, which met every 2 years for 2 decades, reconnecting with long-lost relatives. She retired from Bethlehem Steel after a long career. She's survived by her daughter, Lorraine, and a host of grandchildren and other family members. Her services were held October 17th at Angelus Funeral Home. The second one, I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of James Weldon Jenkins, fondly referred to as Jimmy, who passed away October 15th, 2014. He was born November 8th, 1932 in Los Angeles. He was educated in Los Angeles Public Schools, Ascot Avenue Elementary School, George Washington Carver Junior High School, and Thomas Jefferson High School. In high school, he was a member of the school track team and the school band. Upon graduation from high school, he went on to earn an AA degree in sociology from LA Community College. In August 1953, he was drafted into the United States Army, where he served honorably until 1955. Afterward, he served in the Army Reserves for 6 years. In recognition of his military service, he was awarded the National Defense Service Medal. In 1955, James married Claudette Dean, of whom he raised 4 children. After a brief time in the United States Post Office Service and the Southern California Railroad, he was employed for the County of Los Angeles, where he worked for various departments. In 1998, he ended his 42-year career with the county and retired with the position of facilities manager for the Department of Children's Services. He was remembered as a kind, fun-loving, imaginative, brilliant, and intellectual speed demon. During his 16 years of retirement, he enjoyed traveling with his family. Connecting regularly with his children and grandchildren was a strong priority. He was a lover of all things historical fiction, nonfiction, History Channel, PBS, classic automobiles. His idea of a fun date with his wife was to explore the military vessels at the port of Los Angeles, Long Beach, and San Diego. He attended most all of the jazz festivals in Southern California, and he never missed the LA Auto Show or the Toyota Grand Prix in Long Beach. He was proud of being a member of the East Side Boys, an organization of successful men who grew up in the legally segregated communities of East Side of Los Angeles and stretched from downtown Los Angeles to the tip of Watts along Central Avenue. He was serving as the president of the organization at the time he passed away. He passed away October 15th, 2014. He leaves a host of family members. Funeral services were Thursday, October 23rd, at the Center for Spiritual Awakening in Pasadena. He leaves his wife, Renetta, and 4 children.
Thank you. Councilmember Mike Bonin.
Colleagues, I'd like to ask that we adjourn today in memory of Tom Collette, who was a great community leader in Brentwood, who died very young at age 63 just the other day from his second bout with cancer. Tom was an incredible community leader in Brentwood. He devoted himself to making Brentwood Village and Brentwood a great community. He was born in Syracuse in 1951. Stayed there for a while, but then he served in Vietnam and spent 3 years in the Marines on the USS Enterprise. He moved to LA in the late 80s to be a real estate agent, and he got very well acquainted with a number of the property owners in Brentwood Village, which attracted him to move to Brentwood. He helped establish the Brentwood Village Chamber of Commerce in the late 90s and later helped form the Brentwood Village Business Improvement District. And he worked hand in hand with the city on the revitalization of Brentwood Village that began in 2000 under Cindy Misikowski. He also served on the Brentwood Community Council on behalf of the Brentwood Village Chamber of Commerce. He was known for making a lot of puns, for an incredible sense of humor, a warmth and a brightness of personality that people said made it very joyful to work collaboratively with him. He always wore shorts, and he told a joke often to break the tension at a meeting or to soften a tough question he was asking. He's survived by his wife, Afa, and his smile and his grace will be sorely missed by all in Brentwood. I'd also like us to adjourn in memory today of Frank Mankiewicz, who was the press secretary to Robert Kennedy during the 1968 presidential campaign, later worked with Bill Rosendahl when Frank managed the 1972 George McGovern campaign, and then Frank later ran National Public Radio for a few years, for about 6 years, and helped modernize that enterprise and helped give birth to NPR's Morning Edition. May they both rest in peace.
Thank you. That concludes the adjourning motions. Thank you all. Have a great weekend and be safe.